My life felt like a movie script, the kind where you know the happy ending is just around the corner. I had Natalie, the love of my life, a great job, and a best friend, Ethan, who was more like a brother to me. We were the inseparable trio. I thought we had it all figured out. My 5-year plan was simple: propose to Natalie, buy a house, and maybe get a dog. Life was perfect, or so I thought. The signs were there. I see that now. The late-night work emergencies, the hushed phone calls, the way Natalie and Ethan would share glances that lingered just a little too long. I brushed it all off as paranoia. Why would I ever suspect the two people I trusted most in the world? They were my foundation, my rock. Betrayal, that was something that happened in dramatic novels, not to me, not to Blake. The illusion shattered on a Tuesday. I remember the date, the time, even the smell of rain in the air. I'd come home early from a business trip, excited to surprise Natalie. I had a little blue box in my pocket, the one I'd been saving for. I walked into our apartment, my heart pounding with anticipation. But the silence that greeted me was heavy, wrong. I called her name, no answer. A strange noise from our bedroom drew me in, and there they were, Natalie and Ethan. My world didn't just crumble, it exploded. The air left my lungs, and for a moment I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The engagement ring in my pocket suddenly felt like a ton of lead, weighing me down into an abyss of shock and disbelief. Their faces, a mix of panic and shame, are burned into my memory. The clumsy apologies, the pathetic excuses, they all just washed over me. I didn't shout, I didn't scream. I just turned around and walked out. I walked for hours, the city lights blurring through my tears. The pain was a physical thing, a sharp, twisting knife in my gut. But underneath the pain, something else was stirring. A cold, quiet anger began to crystallize in my heart. They had taken everything from me, my love, my friendship, my future. They thought they had broken me. They were wrong. They had just created a monster. In that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't just get over it. I would get even. My name is Blake, and this is the story of how I orchestrated the perfect revenge. I disappeared. Not literally, of course, but I became a ghost in their lives. I changed my number, blocked them on all social media, and moved out of our apartment while they were out, leaving nothing but an empty space where our life used to be. I needed a clear head, a strategic mind. The first part of my plan was to become a complete stranger. I let my beard grow, started wearing glasses, and even changed my style. I needed them to see me, but not recognize me. I began to meticulously gather information, learn about Natalie's new job at a high-end art gallery and Ethan's ambition to get a big promotion at his finance firm. They were building a new life on the ruins of mine, and I was going to be the architect of its downfall. My first move was against Ethan. He was arrogant, overconfident, and that was his weakness. I knew he was handling a major merger for his company. Using a burner phone and a disguised voice, I started leaving anonymous tips for his company's biggest competitor. I didn't give away everything, just enough to make Ethan's firm look incompetent and him look careless. I created fake email chains and forged documents that hinted at insider trading, carefully planting them where they could be accidentally discovered, watched from the shadows as his world started to unravel. He became paranoid, stressed, and started lashing out, ironically accusing his new colleagues of sabotage. The strain began to show in his relationship with Natalie. Next, it was Natalie's turn. Her job at the art gallery was her pride and joy. She loved being surrounded by beauty and sophistication. I learned that the gallery was hosting a major auction, its most important event of the year. The centerpiece was a rare painting on loan from a private collector. I created a fake identity, a wealthy, eccentric art collector named Mr. Alistair Finch. Through carefully crafted emails and a professional-looking website, I built myself. I began a correspondence with the gallery owner, expressing immense interest in the centerpiece. I wined and dined him, playing the part of a billionaire connoisseur, subtly dropping hints about security concerns and the gallery's reputation. I convinced him to let my personal security team do a private inspection of the gallery before the auction. Of course, my team was just me. Dressed in a sharp suit and with a fake ID, I gained access to the gallery after hours. I didn't steal the painting. It would be too crude, too obvious. Instead, I used a special chemical solution to to create a microscopic, almost invisible flaw on the canvas. It was a time-delayed reaction. Under the intense lights of the auction, the flaw would become a glaring crack in the paint, rendering the masterpiece worthless. The gallery's reputation would be destroyed, and Natalie, who was in charge of the event's logistics, would take the fall. The night of the auction was my grand finale. I attended as Mr. Finch, sitting in the front row, a silent observer of my own handiwork. Natalie was buzzing around, looking stressed but excited, completely unaware of the disaster about to unfold. Ethan was there, looking haggard and defeated. I could feel the tension between them from across the room. As the centerpiece was unveiled, a collective gasp went through the crowd. A large, ugly crack had appeared right across the painting. Pandemonium erupted. The gallery owner turned pale. Reporters swarmed, and Natalie stood frozen, her face a mask of horror. My work was done. In the chaotic aftermath, I slipped out unnoticed. Later that week, I heard the news. Natalie was fired, and the gallery was facing multiple lawsuits. Ethan, already on thin ice at his job, was let go after the public scandal his presence at the auction caused. Their new life, built on lies and betrayal, had crumbled to dust, just as mine had. I didn't feel the elation I expected, just a quiet, empty sense of closure. I had become a stranger to them, but in the process, I had almost lost myself. Revenge was a hollow victory. A few months later, I was sitting in a coffee shop miles away from my old life when she walked in. It was Natalie. She looked different, tired, humbled. She saw me, and for a second, I saw a flicker of the girl I once loved. She walked over. There were no accusations, no anger. She just said, "I'm sorry, Blake, for everything." I simply nodded. There was nothing left to say. I had my revenge, but it didn't fix what was broken. It just created more broken pieces. I realized then that the best revenge wasn't destroying them, but rebuilding myself. I paid for my coffee and walked out, leaving the past behind for good. I was ready to start my real 5-year plan this time, for myself. Thank you for watching. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, know that the best path forward is healing and building a better future for yourself. But don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.